All right, we are live. What's up, my brother?
What's going on, man?
How's the weather down there in Georgia?
Freaking beautiful, man. We're perfect springtime. We've got 80s, in the afternoons, evenings. We start getting a little bit of thunderstorms and some rain to kind of cool it off, make it humid, of course. But for my neighborhood, pool season has opened this last weekend, and the kids are loving it. I'm loving it, wearing them out, enjoying the pool drinks, when necessary for those who partake. And there we go. It's
So
that time.
when is it not pool season down south?
For about 6 weeks between December and January.
Ooh. Well, 6 months for us, up here. It's been raining for like 24 straight hours, and I don't think the temperature's gotten above 49 degrees.
Ooh.
But hey, whatever.
You can have that. You can have that.
Yeah, 6 months, 6 weeks, whatever. So, well, we got some things to discuss today. Brad and Andy's adventures, right, of the VA home loan and defending it and advocating for our fellow veterans. Last week we discussed Andy's biggest pet peeve. It's along the lines of my pet peeve as well. Nothing aggravates me more than somebody that says, hey, we love helping veterans. And then the minute that you pull their credit and their FICO score is below what you can work with,
right?
Thank you for your service. Have a good day. Like, oh, absolutely not.
Well, I mean, this is relevant for me. I launched 2 listings last week, and both of them got VA offers. On the one deal that we have under contract currently, the VA wasn't the overall best deal. It was probably the number 3 deal, all numbers and considerations, but it is our backup deal. It is our primary backup deal. So there is strength there. I have an offer, conventional offer on my other listing, but it's a veteran. And I asked the agent, why are they not using the VA? Oh, because nobody's going to accept the VA home loan. And I was like, this agent will. If it's a good deal, it's a good deal. I was like, I understand the VA. I'm a veteran myself. I'm an advocate and I'm an educator in this space. And she's like, yeah, they don't want to do it. And I was like, so they're going to spend extra fees and a higher rate. Your money, not mine, dude. And that's what it gets down to.
Ignorance is bliss. I'll tell you what, like we are in a lot of the same Facebook groups, and it's always funny to see who rallies behind the vets. And it's always the same 5, right?
Yeah.
Especially in this, and I'm not going to name names because everybody watching this probably already knows, but the stupidity and ignorance, arrogance in these groups, like they don't want to hear the actual strength of the VA home loan, the actual strength of the veteran home buyer for whatever reason, right? I mean, it just blows me away. What are your takes on, what are your thoughts on that?
I got to watch myself. We're Marines. We love to fight. Sometimes my battle picker is wide open. And I'll jump in some of those Facebook groups and start commenting. And last night I got frustrated because some of them, they just didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear the truth. They didn't want to hear the explanations. Fighting, I won't say fighting, but basically arguing over, fees, whether or not the seller has to pay fees, what buyer fees they have to pay. Somebody said that the seller has to pay for a possible second appraisal on a VA home loan.
All right.
And then he posts a link directly to the VA lender's handbook. And I'm like, you have completely and utterly misread this handbook. Another one, she wanted to argue about a VA buyer not being able to pay over the appraisal amount. And I'm like, here's 3 stipulations that I've used between 2 states, multiple markets, and have given this out. It works. And she finally quit commenting. I was like, finally, I gotta win. Maybe, I might have won that small little battle of getting some information out there.
Victories is still a victory in my book, right?
Yeah, so I mean, every inch of battle space we take is we've got to hold, and sometimes that's hard.
So you hit on many topics that we need to break down and discuss. But let me ask you this, Andy, from your experience on the real estate side as an agent. What's the apprehension of accepting a VA home loan? I mean, for me as a lender, what I can see is this going to close or not? Right. Is that accurate?
Part of that is accurate. The two main things that I see is appraisal, right? And
Okay.
we're going to go over some appraisal numbers, and guess what? We win that battle all day long.
All day long.
All day long. And the appraisals, and then timelines, that it's slower and that it costs more. And all three of those are wrong. I know lenders out there in this space that will post and brag about closing VA home loans in 14 to 21 days, sometimes less. Sometimes they get it handed off to them because another lender wasn't able to do it, and they get that full package over and they're done in 10 days. I've heard of crazy stories because it is so simple. If you just follow the VA guidelines, it is so simple and smooth to get this done.
Well, what if I were to tell you the national average last year, application to close, of all lenders? Now, this is an average. I understand it's an average. Between Michael Jordan and I, we share 3 NBA championships, and I don't play basketball, right? But it's 26 days application to close. So, I mean, it's still under a 30-day window. That's phenomenal.
Right.
Especially in this market where it's all crazy. I mean, as a veteran home buyer, as a buyer's agent, you want to make sure that you're aligning yourself with the right people, right? Because yes, there are lenders out there who will absolutely tell you, no, we can't close in 30 days. It's more like 2.5 months or 3 months or however. I mean, last year, one of the top 5, was it last year or the year before? Anyways, they prioritize the refinances over purchase business, and that's a big no-no.
Ooh, no.
So these lenders were telling the buyer's agents that, hey, if you're going to submit an offer, you need to push the close date out 120 to 180 days. So as a buyer's agent, not only are your hands tied because now you're forced to have the home seller pay for the pest and termite and pay for the title closing fee, but you're also saying, hey, accept our offer. It's what, May 3rd today?
Yeah.
But we can't close until November 1st.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane. So, and I've had deals where the veteran buyer was using one of the big mean 3 that we don't like for lending, and they'll come back and tell us they're third party to the contract like agents are, and they'll tell us that we have to push it to 45 to 60 days to close when we already have 30 days in the contract. So they're trying to renegotiate the contract. And when you go back to the listing agents, they're like, no, we can just take another deal and close faster. And that's the crazy thing, is that they think that they can negotiate these things. And the reason it's so complicated is because they're such a big machine. They don't have the proper systems in place. And they're looking on the back end of these things with the secondary investors and their overlays and adding that on top of it and complicating the matter, and then blaming the VA for it. I've heard that tons of times.
They operate in mass volume, right? So if they take 100 calls and 10 of those pan out, so be it. But it's a call center, it's call volume, and it's a person that's not in your local area, so they're not personally invested in it like a local lender would be, because it's our name, it's our brand, it's our reputation, it's our pride, and for guys like you and I mean, it's completely different because we're trying to help our brothers, right? So some more stats about the VA home loan, why you should accept it. I mean, the likelihood of it to close is the highest of any loan program, right? Which is mind-blowing. Like, why would you accept another offer that may or may not close, right? I mean, that's the concern. Well, if I accept this VA offer, it's going to fall apart. Well, no, it actually closes more than any other loan program. And that's straight from the director of the VA home loan program. Right.
And, we can talk about those numbers. The other part that we have issues with in getting them accepted is the appraisal, where on an appraisal, 15% of the time on a VA home loan, appraisal is going to come in low. Conventional, 20%. So we beat conventional.
So you're telling me if I accept a VA offer, I have an 85% likelihood of coming back at value?
Yeah.
The conventional,
it's 80%.
is 80%. So it's a 5%. But the difference between the two appraisals are mind blowing. All right. Because
Right.
the VA has strict timeline requirements. Now, this varies state by state, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have like take California, for example, the number one state, for all VA loans, if their appraisal timelines are a little bit longer than a state like Michigan, where we're not as high, we're right in the middle of the pack. Well, these timelines, they're strict. Not only that, right? I mean, we never have any problems with lackadaisical VA appraisals coming back. We always get them back well within the time frame. But number two, there's two ways in which you can get your value back if the value is low, because that's the concern these days, because property values are skyrocketing. All right. So the two processes, the first one is Tidewater. No, this is not something kids these days are drinking. It's an actual real thing. Right. It's a benefit to all parties involved with this transaction. What this is saying is that the appraiser is having a hard time justifying or verifying the purchase price. Right. So, I mean, side note, if you listed your property correctly, this isn't an issue, is it?
Exactly.
Right? But what Tidewater is 48 hours. It allows for me, you, the buyer's agent, and listing agent to provide comparable sale homes to the appraiser. At the end of 48 hours, Tidewater is over and you have a value established. So what happens if the value comes in low still? Are we screwed? Do we have to walk from the transaction? No, we have this beautiful little thing called reconsideration of value. And the stats on the reconsideration of value are mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Right?
Even better. 79% of the time, you get back most, or if not all of that value. An average of 30% or $30,000. 79% of the time, if you do an ROV, you're going to get an average of $30,000 back in value. Why?
I mean, we still see these things in all of these groups that are saying that the VA home loan program sucks. And that is not true.
Right.
I mean, what other appraisal process allows you to get value back 2 times?
Yeah. Well, they're giving back 7% in value.
Yeah.
That's huge, because a lot of times what you're seeing when you're off by just a small percentage. It's usually less than 10% that you're off on prices. And with people going over ask, you're looking at, anywhere from 5 to 10% over in a lot of markets. Sometimes it is higher than that, depending on the price point and the market, but you're getting 7% back. And if you're still low there, a lot of times that's a lot easier negotiable point to get the deal closed. Now, if you're wildly off still, that's difficult. But the other great thing about that is if that deal falls through, that appraisal stays with that veteran. It does not go to the next veteran. It is not an FHA where it stays with the property. A conventional, you have to order, if you can show reason to, and the underwriter allows it, you can order a second appraisal, pay for a second appraisal. On the VA, there is no paying for a second appraisal. That was the one thing on the Facebook group yesterday. The guy said, I was just like, you're kidding me. There is no second appraisal on the VA.
So I'm glad you brought that up. The appraisal is tied to the veteran and the social security number of that veteran. So if they're going to try to purchase 123 Main Street, they have an appraisal on it, and they go through the process, and they still have a low value. The veteran cannot, I repeat, cannot pay for another appraisal.
Nope.
Right? So that's another myth. They believe that if they accept a VA offer and the value comes in low, that appraisal sticks with the property. It does not. If the veteran decides to walk for whatever reason, right? If you cannot come to terms with a renegotiation and the veteran walks, that appraisal goes with the veteran. You can go to your Plan B offer, which is a conventional, and order the appraisal right now.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the beauty of it.
And then some people think that appraisal's out there in the ether for somebody. No, it's actually in the VA system, And if that deal doesn't close, that it goes away. Because the veteran's social security number is tied to the VA case number, and that's how it's ordered. If that thing doesn't close, then it goes away. It's gone. It's like it didn't exist.
Yep.
So, these are just great numbers that I think a lot of the listing agents, buyer agents, obviously, veterans definitely, but I think a lot of the listing agents really need to hear and understand these numbers, that looking seriously at a veteran offer versus a conventional offer, and pretty much all the numbers are the same. Price, concessions, closing time period, all of that. If all things are the same, the VA is still your best option as far as numbers go, with the stats on appraisals, with closing time frames. That right there alone should put most VA offers to the top of the list.
Absolutely. And who you work with matters. And that is the theme of all of this, right? If you align yourself with the right people, have the right team advocating for you, as you know, from a veteran homebuyer standpoint, if you have the right person behind you, the right team behind you, anything is possible, right? I mean, because now we're fighting and educating the agents on, yes, our veteran homebuyer can absolutely pay for the pest and termite inspection. In fact, we welcome it, right? Because a conventional loan doesn't require a pest and termite. Well, a conventional loan also doesn't care about the structural integrity of the house per se, right? Or the sanitary side of the house. So I get that. But to recap, I mean, a veteran buyer has an average FICO score from last year, from 2020. The average FICO score of the veteran home buyer, 722.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the FICO scale, there is no higher bracket that buyer can go into. So they're excellent credit scores. Right. I would say the average amount of money they have in their bank account is over $17,000. Right. So instead of making them put that down as a down payment, why don't they use it for other things, furnishing their home or figuring out what PTSD, mechanisms can they get involved with to help deal with this stuff? Like why are we going to make them spend money when they have earned the right to put zero down?
It's also a great product for first-time home buyers. Over 41% of the VA loans last year were first-time home buyers.
It's not limited to just first-time home buyers, though.
Exactly. You can use it as many times as you want.
It's a lifetime benefit. And, to clarify that, me personally, I believe that this myth comes from the Montgomery GI Bill. Because back in my day, back in your day, the Montgomery GI Bill had to be activated within the first 10 years you got out, or else you lost it.
Yeah, I didn't use mine. I was just, I got out, went right to work. And then years later, I was like, hey, I'll try to use it. When the economy started turning down in 2007, and at that point, I literally had less than a year to use mine. Because even back then I was told, hey, as long as you start it within that 10 years, you can continue to use it. And then that was incorrect as well. So there's always this misinformation and these rumors that go around, whether, it's at the VFW, your buddy at your favorite bar, that's kind of like the veteran hangout or whatever. And they tell you all these different stories, you and I know the Lance Corporal grapevine is what we call it.
Lance Corporal Underground is what it's called.
Yeah. See, we always knew what was going on, but there was always some bit of misinformation in there. So this is where we're at as far as putting stuff out there. The VA home loan is 99.9% of the time the best option for a veteran. And it should be the cream of the crop. If you have multiple offers and all the numbers are the same or very, very close, then it is generally should be in the top 1% of your consideration.
Absolutely. It should not go to the bottom of the stack. I'm going to end with this last point, and this is going to be a great conversation between the two of us. All right. Rule number 1, if you're dealing with a veteran, never, ever, ever, ever assume that we know our benefits, because the fact of the matter is we know nothing about our benefits.
Right.
When we were getting out, we had to do this 2-page checklist. Go check out here, go check out there, go check out there. Once you got all your checks in the box, you went to what's called a TAPS class. Back in my day, it was a 1-day, 8-hour death by PowerPoint taught by the VA about all the fantastic benefits that we have just earned. But hey, guess what? I'm a combat vet about to be honorably discharged Marine Corps veteran. Who's not going to want to hire me in 2008?
Right.
2008. Okay. Right. I was too proud to file unemployment. I had 10 fingers, 10 toes. I don't need to pay attention to VA disability.
Right.
I'm 26 years old. The last thing I have on my mind is buying a house. I don't even know what home ownership is. So when they're going over the VA home loan benefit, am I paying attention to it? No. I mean, the best mindset that I can compare it to is when you were in 12th grade, getting ready to graduate. Here it is, April. You walk in May. Senioritis is a real thing, my friend. Right? Yeah. You can't do any, all your motivation is gone. You don't care about anything. You just have other thoughts on your mind. That's exactly what's going on with active duty and reservists when they're getting out and before they become veterans.
Yeah. Okay? We had short timers, when you got 3 to 6 months of getting out and you knew you may have terminal leave. Mine was quick. I got out for disability, and they're like, they came to me out of the blue and were like, hey, can you check out in a week? And I was like, sure. Okay, here's your paper. Here's your sign out sheet. Go to all these things, go to schedule these classes. And literally a week later, I was out. I was done with the Marine Corps. I mean, just boom, out of the blue. So I didn't even have that easing into civilian life. It was, you're out. Because back in the late 90s, mid 90s, there was really nothing going on to hold anybody in.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And then, when I've heard that they've actually made it more of like a week-long process now, and they kind of, help with life skills and things, which is great. Anything's better than nothing. What I went through, I mean, it was 8-hour death by PowerPoint. 2 weeks later, I got my DD-214 and welcome to civilian life. And little did I know about the transition that I was going to be struggling with, that we all struggle with. And that's a topic for a different day. So to recap, Brandon and Andy's adventures, I mean, do not let ignorance blind you when it comes to VA, right? Because, I mean, you have a loan product with the highest closing percentage of all loan programs. You have a loan program that comes in at value more than any other appraisal process. Speaking of appraisals, you also have 2 ways in which you can get value back if the value is not there. I mean, come on. What else do you need? As a listing agent, what else do you need to hear?
And if it is low, you have a 79% chance of getting that number up by 7%.
Which equates to 30 grand. Boom. I mean, come on. Like, what else is there? What other obstacles is it that we need to address and overcome? Because this is getting to be a big pain in my ass.
It goes back to my pet peeve, the ignorance, willful ignorance with some of my fellow realtors. So there it is.
If you're a home buyer, do not go with one of those ignorant people, because you will not like the outcome. If you're a home seller, do not go with one of those people. You will not like the outcome. Who you work with matters. It is everything in this market. And if you have any questions, Andy and I are more than happy to help provide clarity, hop on a call, answer your questions. I mean, within reason. I mean, we are both very busy individuals, and we will do our absolute best to help you.
Hey, I put all my stuff out there. It's all over my social media. So anytime somebody hits me up, I'm always willing. Yeah. Are there this time? If it's late at night, I might have had a couple drinks, or I might be too tired to answer phone calls.
That's calls.
Hey, you might get really good answers out of me sometimes. So I would say that, I'm available. Just hit me up, but make sure it's a reasonable time, and schedule time to talk to us.
Absolutely. So I appreciate you, Andy. Keep getting after it, brother. Top Gun 2 premieres in 2 weeks. I cannot wait. I got my Top Gun swag, and I just got to get some aviators, and I'm good.
Dude, I think I was in fourth or fifth grade when that first one came out, and they aged myself here.
I don't even know how old I was. I mean, it was in the 80s. I was born in 81, so whatever. But anyways, all right, brother. We're gonna end it right now. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week. We'll break out some more stuff.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
Brother.
Hoorah.